have been married to RUYLU for 8 years. She was a proud daughter of heaven, but she fell into the dust unexpectedly. I stayed by her side without leaving her, and finally her new work, Muse, became famous, and the talented painter returned to the peak. The reporter asked her who the man in the painting was, and she smiled gently. He is the love of my life. That day I received her divorce agreement. The talented painter RUYLU returned with her new work, Muse, returning to the peak after many years. All her works at the exhibition were sold at high prices, except for the most eye-catching Muse, which was a lifelike oil painting. Under the moonlight, the lake was shining with broken light, and the young man in white stood in the wind, holding flowers in his hands, smiling upside down. She said it was not for sale and would not be exchanged for a fortune. The reporter asked her who the man in the painting was, and she smiled gently. He is the love of my life. That day I received a divorce agreement sent by RUYLU. The money in the house belonged to me, and she left the house with nothing. I saw the live video on the internet and called her. Congratulations, the exhibition was a success. She said unfairly, it has nothing to do with you. Why has it nothing to do with you? I raised my voice and questioned, aren't you going to leave the house with nothing? The income from the exhibition is also an asset during the marriage, and we should also calculate it. The other party snorted coldly. Daj, you are really greedy for money. I said in a deep voice, money is more reliable than people. She was silent for a while. Let the lawyer send you a new agreement tomorrow. I agreed readily. Okay, from now on, we will break off our relationship and owe each other nothing. Before she finished speaking, I hung up the phone as if listening for one more second would be a waste. It is hard to imagine that 4 months ago, I was still praying to be with her for the rest of my life. That day was our 6th wedding anniversary. I quietly flew back from France on Valentine's Day to give RUYLU a surprise. When I got downstairs, I saw a young man standing alone in the snow with his luggage. His hands were red from the cold, but he sounded very happy when he was talking on the phone. Guess where I am? I don't know what the other side said, but the boy's eyebrows relaxed and he said, I miss you, so I came to see you. I recalled that when I was in college and I were in a long-distance relationship with Liu, RUYN, when we were in love, we would buy a ticket and run to each other without hesitation. Touched by this scene, I took out my mobile phone to call RUYN, but the next moment I saw her coming out of the corridor. She ran straight to the boy and threw herself into his arms. He hugged her tightly as if he had caught a rare treasure. They kissed passionately and for a long time in the silent snowy night. I froze in place, watching their surging love. When RUYN raised her eyes, she finally found me standing not far away. I struggled forward with my luggage, and a few steps away seemed to be separated by thousands of mountains and rivers. Her first reaction was to stand up and protect that person. The boy was a little confused, leaned over and whispered in her ear, who is he? I didn't know what expression to make for a moment, so I stood in front of them and said lightly, I am her husband. The boy heard this and strode to RUYN, making a protective gesture. This is my fault, don't blame her. I laughed dumbly and looked at the woman with a tangled face behind me. Don't you want to say something? RUYN pursed her lips, her eyes sank as if she had made some kind of decision. She walked forward, stood side by side with the boy, held each other's hands, clasped their fingers, and said to me, it's what you see. Maybe it was too windy and snowy, and I was numb from the cold. I didn't question or argue and turned around and went home quietly. RUYN and follow. The windows on the balcony at home were wide open, and the cold wind rushed in. I could even imagine RUYN's surprise and joy when she received the call, opened the window, and saw the boy standing downstairs. Before I could clean up the flower stand next to me, the unfinished work on the drawing paper caught my eye. The protagonist was the boy just now. He held a rose in his hand, his clothes fluttered in the wind, and his face was shy when he saw his lover. Once RUYN also painted me so carefully. We met in high school at the age of 16. At that time, she was very famous. She was a rich lady, a top student, and a school beauty. I came from the countryside. We were so different that we would never have any intersection, but I happened to be her desk mate. I was not good at English, and my Mandarin had a bit of a rural accent. I was often laughed at by my classmates. She always defended me and taught me patiently. The girl always smiled when she spoke. When she smiled slightly, it was like 1,000 trees blooming. I had a crush on her for 3 years and never dared to imagine that she liked me too. After the college entrance examination, she did not apply for Jingwei University as everyone expected, but chose the Academy of Fine Art. She said that painting was her lifelong dream, and her family was very supportive. She had the capital to be willful, but I didn't. With my grades at the time, the best choice was to go to a school in the south, thousands of miles away from her. That summer vacation, she came to my small mountain village to collect folk songs and asked me to be her guide. Together we watched the flowers on the hillside, the birds in the forest, and the clouds in the sky. On the last day, my mother took out her homemade plum wine and asked her to taste it. I didn't stop her. She drank a glass and got drunk and couldn't tell the north from the south. She fell into my arms and said drunkenly with a red face, Dajibo, I like you. When I helped her back up, I found that her paintings were all about me. When I left, I sent her to the station and walked very slowly all the way. I wanted to ask her if what she said last night counted, and finally I couldn't help but speak. Liu-R-U-Y-N, if I confess now, will it be too late? She looked at me uncried with joy. No, as long as it's you, it's never too late. We were together in college for 4 years. When we were in a long-distance relationship, I gave her enough love and security so that she knew clearly that she wanted who was favored. She often laughed and scolded unscrupulously. Daj, you love me so much. I let her make trouble, and when she had enough, I bent down and kissed her gently. From the age of 18 to 28, we have been in love for 10 years. Countless yesterdays whizzed through my mind, and the suppressed emotions finally broke out. I collapsed and tore the painting to pieces, sitting alone on the sofa until dawn. When Liu-R-U-Y-N came back, she had a strange fragrance on her body like the smell of Hotel Shergel. When she saw me, there was a bit of guilt in her eyes. I'm sorry. My eyes were red, and my voice was hoarse when I spoke. When did it start? She was very frank and talked about their past. The boy was called Ito Mikoto, a senior student at the Academy of Fine Arts, and also studied painting. She met him when she returned to her alma mater to attend the school celebration last year. He admired Liu-R-U-Y-N's talent and was her loyal and ardent admirer. They were soulmates, often remembering Van Gogh together under the starry sky and chatting about Monet's water lilies by the lake. She said that the two of them were rare confidants and true lovers. We have been together for 10 years, but they have only known each other for 10 months. When Liu-R-U-Y-N talked about that man, her eyes were affectionate and her expression was gentle. She emphasized many times, I really love him. I was hysterical. He's a college student and he interferes with other people's marriages. How can he be a good person? Isn't it just for money? Liu-R-U-Y-N looked at me and her eyes became colder and colder. Dajibo, he is not like you. He only has money in his eyes. Her words hurt me deeply. Liu-R-U-Y-N is a natural Roman assistant, has always regarded money as dirt. She was already a well-known painter in college. Many people paid a lot of money to buy her paintings, but she refused them all. Her paintings have always been given only to those who are destined. But there are unexpected events. The year she graduated, her family went bankrupt. Her parents were chased for debts, and they both died in a car accident. She was blocked at home by her creditors. I secretly climbed over the wall to find her, hugged her, and said, Liu-R-U-Y-N, marry me. I have no status or wealth, but I have an unswerving heart. I consulted a lawyer. Children have no responsibility to repay their parents' debts, but the other party is outnumbered and the endless harassment is enough to ruin Liu-R-U-Y-N's life. With my mother's consent, I took out all the savings in the family, raised a sum of money, and negotiated to help Liu-R-U-Y-N pay off her debts at the lowest cost. After marriage, we lived in a rented house, which was leaky and rainy. On typhoon days, the house became a small pond. In winter, strong winds blew through the hall, freezing people unable to sleep. We hugged each other tightly and talked all night. Liu-R-U-Y-N tried to find someone who wanted to buy her paintings, but she was only humiliated. She was too noble in the past and defended people. Now she is short of money and hits a wall everywhere. I felt very distressed and never allowed her to go out to sell paintings. In order to make her life more comfortable, I worked 3 jobs every day and spent 99 yuan on her for every 100 yuan I earned. Once I was anemic and temporarily blinded for a few minutes. She was in a hurry to take care of me, and even her voice was shaking when she called my name. She cried in front of me and couldn't help herself. If I don't marry you, I will regret it for the rest of my life, but marrying you will drag you down. This made me feel even more desperate. I called her a fool and said that I never thought she was a burden. At that time, I felt very happy. Let's get a divorce. Liu, are you? Why Anne's words brought me back to reality. She was very determined and said, I can agree to anything you want. My heart was in a knot. Don't you know what I want? She didn't understand and only said, you set the conditions. I laughed out loud. I really can give up everything for him. Liu Ruy and lowered her eyes and dropped a bomb. Da Jibo. I'm pregnant with his child. My heart was broken into pieces, and I remembered that we had a child. In the second year of marriage, Liu Ruy and became pregnant. I was very happy, but she secretly had an abortion without telling me. She said to me with tears in her eyes, Dajibo, we can't afford to raise a child. Don't let her suffer in this world. You, Wyan said I'm sorry to me many times. I hugged her and tried to smile, comforting her. It's okay, there will be children in the future. That day, she hugged me very tightly and kept repeating, I love you in my ear. This sentence is like a spell which tightly connects our hearts in the days when we had nothing. Since then, I have worked harder. I am very good at observing people's words and expressions, and gradually I have become very successful in the workplace. The boss is engaged in important export, trade and often needs to entertain customers. I have a good alcohol tolerance. He likes to take me with him and will give me extra bonuses. I vomited every day when I returned home, and Liu Ruy and would stay with me all night to take care of me. She always said, don't drink to your health for a little money. I didn't care. You have to look at the long term. Over time, I accumulated a lot of connections, and later I started my own lead wing business. I was busy with business trips and social events every day, and I was exhausted. Ryan said, it's good to have enough money, don't work so hard. But I have 2 wishes that must be fulfilled. I always believe that Ryan's future will be full of stars and seas, and I hope she can paint as she pleases without having to give up her lifelong dream because of trivial matters in life. I also hope that the abandoned child can come back to us soon. God will not let down those who work hard, and our lives are really getting better little by little. In the 5th year of marriage, we had a house in savings, and I finally plucked up the courage to say, Wife, let's have a child. Unexpectedly, she was not very interested and just said, Wait a little longer. Now is not the time. She told me that she had entered a bottleneck period and had not painted a work that satisfied her for a long time. I tried to comfort her. Your paintings are great. My friends like them very much. Ba Sheng will move to a new house next month, and he said he wants to buy your paintings for decoration. Liu Ruy sneered. They are a bunch of vulgar people. What do they know about art? I was stunned, and I felt that I had said something wrong. She apologized immediately and explained that she did not look down on businessmen, but just hoped to be recognized by more professionals. She buried her head deep in my neck and whispered, I just have less and less confidence. Perhaps at this time our relationship has already cracked, but I was too busy and didn't pay too much attention to her change. Soon after, Liu Ruyan's condition gradually began to improve, and she often smiled on her face. I thought she had broken through the bottleneck, but I didn't expect that her soul had found a new home. The young man she loved was in his prime and was not stained by the dust of the years. He would comment on her paintings, like the flowers in spring, the rain in summer, the wind in autumn, and the snow in winter, which are the most beautiful existence in the world. And I, who is full of money, could not resonate with her. Dajibo, I am sorry for you. Liu Ruyan's voice echoed in my ears. I was silent for a long as the time we spent together, but in the end I was still unwilling. I won't divorce you. I heard myself say. Liu Ruyan replied coldly, it's not up to you. At that moment, I heard the sound of love dying. When Yuy and An Dai were at our worst, my mother fell ill and was hospitalized. The doctor said she had terminal cancer. My father died early, and my mother suffered all her life. When I got married, she couldn't take care of herself, but she insisted on living alone in the countryside and not causing trouble for us. Later, my economic conditions improved slightly, and I didn't have time to accompany her. I blamed myself for never letting her enjoy a day of happiness in my life. She lay on the hospital bed and asked me weakly, "Where's are you, YN?" I forced myself to smile and answered her happily, "I'm very busy recently. I have an art exhibition to hold." I told my mother that Liu Yuan was appreciated by Mr. Zhu Yi, a master of painting, and she was about to make it. She smiled with relief. Our Yuan finally fulfilled her wish. Your life will definitely get better and better in the future. I made up an excuse and ran out of the ward, tears streaming down my face. God really likes to play jokes on me. Not long after we had a quarrel, Liu Yuan got news from France that Mr. Chu, who had been in seclusion for a long time, suddenly expressed his interest in her paintings and wanted to meet her. A 1,000-mile horse finally meets a good horseman. The two had a great conversation and felt sorry for not meeting each other earlier. Yuy regarded the boy as a lucky star, saying that he helped her find her original intention of painting so that she could have this opportunity. She would not know that it was an opportunity I had tried my best to fight for her, but now it is just making wedding clothes for others. I washed my face and went back to the ward. My mother suddenly said that she wanted to meet Liu Yuan. I couldn't refuse, and finally took the initiative to contact her. Maybe it was my pride that made me not want to show weakness in front of her, so I started to negotiate. Liu Yuan, let's make a deal. I agreed to divorce, and you play a scene with me. She agreed straightforwardly. It was obviously the answer I wanted, but my heart began to twist again. Disappointment, anger, sadness, and negative emotions devoured me like millions of poisonous insects. I think I was going crazy. Yuan came on time. After not seeing her for half a month, she became more graceful and beautiful. She must have been doing well. We each restrained our expressions, pretended to be intimate, and pushed the door to enter the ward. My mother was lying on the bed with a weak breath. When she saw us, her cloudy eyes suddenly brightened, and she sat up and talked to us. She warned me to love my wife and to not let her down. She also told Yuan to live a good life with me. My mother didn't talk much before, but when she met this time, she seemed to have endless things to say. I knew that she was worried about Yuan, and I answered her instructions one by one. Finally, my mother put her hands together and said, "Be good in this life." I couldn't help but have tears in my eyes. In fact, I really wanted to tell her that if she left, there would be no relatives of mine in this world, but now the words were stuck in my throat and I couldn't say anything. Yuan patted my back naturally, and her gentle eyes were very much like the 18-year-old girl back then. After leaving the ward, our hands were still holding together. I found myself very unpromising, and I still coveted this little bit of warmth between my palms. Can we not get a divorce? Absurd thoughts circled in my mind. The phone rang suddenly, and Yuan let go of my hand. I looked up at her in confusion, and the shadow of the girl disappeared in a flash. She walked aside to answer the phone, and sporadic conversations floated into my ears, all of which were airy daily conversations. I don't know what the other side said. She blushed and cursed shameless, and then said in a delicate voice, "Wait a minute, I'll be home soon." I looked at this woman and suddenly felt very strange. After she finished the call, she saw that I was in a state of dismay and frowned as she asked, "You look very bad. Are you sick?" She stretched out her hand to touch my forehead, but I dodged it reflexively. We were both stunned, and her hand stopped in my dress. She said awkwardly, "The divorce can be done after your mother is better." My sinking consciousness finally came to my senses, and I nodded and agreed. My mother's condition did not improve, and she also had problems with her memory. Every once in a while, she would ask to see Yuan. She had been flirting with me for 3 months, and she accompanied me to listen to the words that were repeated many times. Every time Liu or Yuan came to the hospital, Itome Koto would call frequently, and later he simply came with her. On the day they appeared hand in hand, I got very angry, stood in front of them, and told them to get as far away as possible. Yuan explained to me that he would wait nearby and would not let my mother see it. I refused to compromise and mocked. Show less affection, you won't die. The boy who had been silent all the time suddenly stood up and said angrily, "Are you going too far? You are going to get a divorce? Don't always think of ways to torment him. He has been preparing for an art exhibition recently, and he is so busy that he can't even eat." I followed him because I was worried. Liu Yuan held his hand and comforted him softly. "Don't be angry, you will scare our child." Ito Makoto glared at me and looked down at her, but I feel sorry for him. Yes, the loving look made my stomach churn. I sneered. "She and I haven't divorced yet. You two are having an affair together, you know. Otherwise, you didn't pay for it." Liu Yuan was stunned and tears welled up in her eyes. "Dajibo, are you crazy?" Atomakoto gritted his teeth and glared at me. "A grown man speaks so harshly. No wonder your wife looks down on you. I don't want to endure it. Today you leave with me or stay with her. She can only choose one." Then he turned his head and looked at the woman beside him with an earnest look. There was no suspense. Yuan and her lover left hand in hand. My mother was actually in good condition that day. I lied and said that Liu Yuan had something urgent to do and she didn't investigate it. But in the evening, she suddenly fell into a coma, and the doctor directly issued a critical illness notice. When she woke up, she said she wanted to see Liu Yuan again. I called her in a panic, and she didn't answer for a long time. I squatted on the ground, holding my head, and asked, "Can you come over?" She answered directly, "It's too late." I was anxious. "My mother is dying." She said impatiently, "I advise you not to joke like this." I was shocked and angry. Joke about my mother's life? She was silent for a while and said, "It's raining tonight. I'm pregnant. He won't let me go out." I didn't care about my face and almost begged, "You ask him to send you over, or I'll ask a friend to drive over to pick you up and ensure your safety, okay? We have been in love for 10 years. Please help me for the last time." She said, "I'll talk to him." I seemed to have caught a glimmer of hope and said incoherently, "It's my fault for quarreling today, okay? As long as you come over tonight, I will agree to whatever you want, okay?" The sky was thundering, unlightening, burying the sound of my shattered self-esteem in the night. A low and hoarse voice came from the other end of the phone with a hint of lust. "Why?" and said very unnaturally, and then said, "Don't make trouble." The phone was hung up. I called again, but no one answered. That day, she didn't show up until late at night. My mother saw the clues and asked carefully, "Did you and Daryuyan have a conflict?" I tried to pretend to be relaxed. "No, she is on the way." Her brows were getting more and more furrowed, and she asked me to call. She wanted to talk to you or Yuyan. But the other party had turned off the phone. Later, my mother's consciousness gradually faded, and she kept muttering, "Son, if you are not doing well, how can I be at ease?" When it was done, she died. Before she died, she held my hand tightly and refused to close her eyes. My world has become a ruin. I took my mother's ashes back to the countryside for burial, and Liu Yuan followed. She hung her head, her face full of shame. "I'm sorry, I didn't know. That night, Mom, really." I asked her to leave and said weakly, "Don't touch me. You don't deserve it." "Dajibo, can't you talk properly?" Liu Yuan's voice softened. "I just want to see if there is anything I can help with." I said coldly, "No." She refused to leave and stayed by my side. The funeral was not a big event, and only a few neighbors in the village were invited to help. When everything was over and everyone had left, I finally calmed down and said to Liu Yuan, "Let's talk." She nodded and said yes. I said coldly, "Let's get the divorce procedures done quickly." She frowned and changed the subject. "I want to explain to you what happened that night." "I don't want to hear it." I interrupted her and continued, "You are the party at fault, and I want you to leave the house with nothing. I know everything about the family's assets. Don't play tricks or negotiate with me, otherwise I will make your scandals known to everyone." Liu Yuan's eyes stagnated. "Dajibo, The family's assets were originally earned by you. Do you think I will fight with you for these? I sneered. You can't know a person's heart. She showed a disappointed expression. You were not like this before. People change. I said, Liu Ruyan would never treat me like this before. The long silence was interrupted by the ringing of the phone. It was Makoto calling. She walked out of the door to answer it, and I closed the door directly. She never came back. That night, I lay on the bed in the old house and had a long dream. I dreamed that I was 22 years old and brought Liu Yuan home regardless of everything, and told my mother that I wanted to marry her. I dreamed that the creditors chased me home, making noises every day, and my mother hid her in the room and told me, Yuan, don't go out. Let Jibo handle everything. I dreamed that I dealt with them alone for several months and finally got things done before the new year. I dreamed that it snowed on New Year's Eve. Snowflakes fell on me, accumulating layer after layer, but I didn't feel cold. The moment I got home, she was the first to open the door, rushed out and threw herself into my arms. I staggered a few steps, but still caught her firmly. I don't want to be separated from you in the future. Liu Yuan's crying, unlaughing look was very cute. I just wanted to respond, and the picture spun around. I stood there blankly, watching her throw herself into someone else's arms in the snow, and then kiss the other person's lips affectionately. Liu Yuan. I kept calling her name, but she couldn't hear me. Suddenly, everything went dark in front of me, and I began to feel a strong sense of weightlessness, as if I was falling into the abyss. When I woke up the next day, I had a high fever and my consciousness became chaotic. I lay at home for 2 days, feeling like I was dying. One day, I received a message from my business partner that there was a problem with the supply of red wine and I lost a lot of money. I sat up in shock, quickly dressed and went out, then went to see a doctor, took medicine, and recovered alone. These 4 months have consumed too much of my energy, and there have been many mistakes in the business. I was so busy that I didn't even have time to feel sad. The next time I heard Yuan's name was when she became famous at the art exhibition. Mr. Zhu Yi, a master of the painting world who has always been demanding, praised her highly, saying that she was indeed a pearl covered in dust over the years. The old man in seclusion even appeared publicly at the art exhibition and publicly stated that Liu Yuan was the most talented young female painter he had ever seen in his life. For a time, the industry was shaken. The media heard the news, and the reports on the internet were overwhelming. She already has outstanding looks, and with her beauty, her attention once surpassed that of traffic stars. The entry goddess painter Liu Yuan topped the hot search list, and all her works were sold out. Some people were even willing to pay 10 million to buy the most eye-catching work Muse at the exhibition that day. Yuan refused. The reporter smelled the gossip and asked her who the man in the painting was, and she generously expressed her love. My college roommate Lin Fang forwarded this video to me undasked. Why would Liu Yuan say that? I dragged the divorce agreement I had just received and replied, it's nothing. She fell in love with someone else, and we plan to divorce. Lin Fang called directly unsaid angrily, wasn't it fine for months ago? Doesn't she know how much you suffered for her in France? I replied lightly, knowing it won't change anything. On the 6th anniversary of my marriage, I wanted to prepare a special gift for Yuan. I know that the person she admires most is a painter named Zhu Yi. This old man rarely appeared in public when he was young, and now he is in seclusion and cannot be found. I used all my methods and connections to get a piece of news that was hard to tell whether it was true or not. Someone had seen him visiting a street art stall in Mary Paris. So I went to France alone under the pretext of a business trip. It was my first time going abroad, and I was unfamiliar with the place. On the first day, my luggage was wrong. I was anxious to chase him, but was led into a remote alley where a group of street thugs gathered. I was outnumbered and was beaten by them on the ground. Before I lost consciousness, I heard someone shout something in French, and everyone ran away in a hurry. I woke up in the hospital with only some skin injuries. It was Lin Fang who saved me. We were roommates in college. A year after I got married, he went abroad and gradually lost contact. I didn't expect to meet again in this way. He helped me a lot. He was the one who took care of me during my injury. He asked me, "Don't you tell Yu Wyan?" I shook my head. During that time, Yu Wyan often locked herself in the studio. It seemed that she was in a very critical period. I didn't want her to worry. When the injury got better, I was eager to go out and went to Mary every day to wait. In fact, I was not sure if I missed her. Shoo, but I didn't want to give up any possibility. When Lin Fang learned the purpose of my trip, his eyes widened, as if he was looking at a fool, and then he laughed at me exaggerated. "Just spoil your girl. Sooner or later, she will be spoiled." I rolled my eyes at him. "I do." The two of us fought together as if we were back in college. I made a deal with a street vendor and Mary rented his painting stall, selected several works of Liu Ruyan from different periods, placed them in the most eye-catching place, and prayed for the goddess of luck every day. It happened to be winter at that time. Except for sleeping every day, I was blowing the cold wind on the street, and my ears were frozen. Lin Fang always complained while buying medicine for me. "You are asking for trouble." After staying in France for 3 weeks, Valentine's Day was approaching, and I planned to return home. This trip to a foreign country was indeed impulsive, and it was reasonable that I couldn't find anyone. I thought I would wait until I had more accurate information next time before taking action, but an accident happened quietly. On the last day, when I was about to close the stall, Monsieur Chu appeared and took a fancy to Ruyan's work when she was 18 years old. He asked me with a smile, "Who is the creator of this painting?" I proudly said Ruyan's name. He pointed to the "Not for Sale" label on the side of the painting and asked, "Not for sale?" I nodded. "This is my personal collection." "Then why put it on display?" I said. "I hope more people can see this great painter." He looked at the painting thoughtfully for a long time and finally left with a smile. "I know this gentleman's temper. He is famous for cherishing talents. He has discovered many unknown little painters in the past, and now they have become big names in the industry. I know that Ruyan's opportunity has come. Things are much smoother than I expected. I think talented people are destined to see the light of day. I am really happy for Ruyan. She is one step closer to her dream. On the wedding anniversary, I laid to Ruyan that I couldn't come back from France. I wanted to give her a surprise, but her reaction was very indifferent and she only said, "I know." At first, I felt a little sad, but when I got on the plane, I saw her post a sentence in WeChat Moments: "Missing you is like a mountain in the sea." My depression immediately dissipated, and on the way back, I was still fantasizing about our beautiful future. How ironic, in fact, her longing for someone else had already been given. "Don't you feel unwilling?" Lin Fang asked me. I was very calm, of course, but now it is more important to live your life well. He breathed a sigh of relief. "Daju Bo, sometimes you are so rational that it is scary." I smiled and said, "Thank you for the compliment." After hanging up the phone, the surroundings became quiet, and I clicked on the video again. Ruyan smiled gently and affectionately in front of the camera. She said that the boy was the love of her life. Sure enough, I still felt uncomfortable. I called Ruyan and said, "The income from the exhibition is also considered pre-America property. If we divorce, it will belong to me." She mocked me and agreed. It seems that she is really anxious to marry her sweetheart. I tried to treat the trip to France as an investment. Now I have gained a large amount of wealth, so it is not complete loss. Thinking this way, I gradually reconciled with myself. Money is really a good thing. That day, I opened the best red wine for myself and drank until late at night. The next morning, I was awakened by a phone call. Lin Fang's voice sounded distant and near. "Open the door." I staggered out, opened the door, and saw him carrying his luggage with a dark face. "Such a big thing happened, but you didn't tell me at all." "You are not a good friend." I was stunned on the spot. He opened his arms and smiled at me. "Brother, I'm here to accompany you." I hugged him and was moved to tears. He is really a good brother. But it turned out that I was moved too early. For a man who is about to divorce, a man in love is simply a dose of poison. In the evening, I waited for him to take a vinyl record for me. He hesitated for a long time before reluctantly hanging up the video call with his girlfriend. I strangled his neck and said angrily, "Is it too much to show your affection in front of me?" He laughed shamelessly. "I call it fighting poison with poison." I actually admired him very much. He was once hurt so deeply, but he can still live so freely. Do you regret loving Zhu Yan? As soon as I asked the question, I began to regret it. Hearing this name, Lin Fang did not show much emotion, only saying, "If a relationship does not end unsatisfactorily, it should be considered a tragedy." I thought about this sentence very seriously. I thought there's no need to resent the 18-year-old you, RUY, and because of the 28-year-old you, RUYN. The girl who amazed the years is just gone. I will accept it and slowly let it go. A month later, Liu RUY and I got the divorce certificate. I bought a vineyard in Montmartre, Paris, and planned to go to France to learn winemaking by myself. Lin Fang had already settled there and welcomed me to go there. On the day I went abroad, Liu RUY and Undi Tomikoto held a grand wedding. The bride wore a high-end custom wedding dress and was covered in jewels. I remembered that when we got married, we were really poor. We only bought a small white dress for 200 yuan for our wedding dress, and the bouquet was a kapok plant picked on the roadside, which was simple and plain like our love at that time. The past is gradually fading away with the wind. The clouds are gone, and things are no longer the same. I boarded the plane and rushed towards a new life. My life gradually became peaceful. I thought I would never meet Liu RUY and again. Unexpectedly, a year later, I returned to my hometown to visit the grave and met her again. Liu RUY was holding a bunch of white chrysanthemums and standing in front of my mother's grave. She was surprised to see me for a moment and shouted hoarsely, "Dao Jibo." I asked in a deep voice, "What are you doing here?" She came a few steps closer to me and replied in a whisper, "I thought I might meet you. You sold the house and changed your mobile phone number. I can't find you." I distanced myself from her and asked coldly, "What's the matter?" The mountain wind blew up some fine sand. She was probably blinded and her eyes began to turn red. "I just want to talk to you. I seem to hear a big joke. You are you, YN. You have a husband now. Go away. Don't hang around my parents' graves." She turned at Effie and didn't move. I couldn't doctor her away, so she simply ignored me and talked to herself. "I want to explain to you what happened on the night my mother died." You are UY and talk to herself, regardless of whether I wanted to listen or not. She said that she was planning to go out, but Ito Makoto came to stop her, and she accidentally had a miscarriage. I perfunctorily said, "Oh." She lowered her head and said in a sad tone, "At night I had a miscarriage." My hand that was placing the offerings paused slightly, and I still didn't say anything to her. After a while, she suddenly spoke again. "If I had come that night, would you not hate me so much?" I raised my head and looked into her eyes. The sadness in them was clearly visible, but I didn't understand what the point of her putting on such an expression was now. I quickly retracted my gaze, pretending that I didn't see anything, burned 3 incense sticks for my parents, reported my recent situation to them, and told them that I was living very well now. After the worship, Liu RUY followed me down the mountain. She became very talkative. She said that we had seen the flowers on the hillside, the birds in the forest, and the clouds in the sky together in the village before. She remembered everything. "But Liu RUY, the flowers on the hillside are no longer blooming, the birds in the forest have flown away, and even the clouds in the sky are not in their original shape. Everything has changed. No one cleaned up the house in my hometown, and it was not habitable. After staying in the hotel in town for 1 night, I flew directly back to France. The reunion with Liu RUY did not cause much waves in my heart. It happened that Lin Fang found clothing design brand and became busy. My manner hired people. I was usually very idle, so I stayed in the studio all day to help him. I joked, "We two study trade, and now one makes clothes and the other makes wine. It's really not doing our job properly." He shook his finger. "No, no, no. Life is a process of gradually seeing yourself clearly." When chatting, I asked him, "When did you become interested in fashion design?" He hesitated for a moment and whispered, "When you and Liu RUY got married." He said, "There is one thing I have never known. Do you still remember the dresses you wore at the wedding? The pattern is exquisite, but the price is ridiculously cheap. You always thought I asked my friends to help me get it, right? I nodded. He continued, actually, are you why I was reluctant to spend money and only bought the simplest white dress and suit. But she didn't want you to feel that she was being treated unfairly, so she drew the picture herself and then asked my designer friend to embroider the pattern little by little. She also made the veil herself. I didn't know she could do needlework. She couldn't do it at first, but my friend is very good and smart, so she learned it in a few days. She was afraid that you would blame yourself, so she didn't let me tell you. He said she really loved you at that time. Lin Feng thought for a while and said, actually, I met Liu Yuan 2 days ago. I didn't react much and said calmly, Paris is the capital of art. She is a painter and it is normal for her to come here. He shook his head. I think she came to find you. That night you left your things at my place and I went to chase you and just saw her following behind you, watching from a distance and didn't come forward. I joked. From your eyes, I remember that you were very busy. Did you recognize the wrong person? Lin Feng said angrily. Do you think I'm blind? I even chatted with her for a few words. Buddy, I specifically told him about your previous visit to Paris to find Mr. Shoo, we can't do good things without leaving our names. I thought of this and gave him a thumbs up. Lin Feng sighed. After she heard it, she froze up, looking distraught and a little pitiful. I paused and said, it has nothing to do with me anymore. The very capable girl came to my manor and took good care of my grapes. Thanks to her, the quality of the newly brewed wine is very high, and I received a large order. Unexpectedly, it was such a coincidence that the customer who ordered the wine held a banquet and invited celebrities in the art world, including Liu Yuan. When I went to deliver the wine, I met her and Itomekto. The two were in a very strange state, talking very little, and didn't look like a newlywed couple. I didn't stay for long, signed the order and left. Yuan saw me and followed me out, and Itomekto didn't react much. I was in a hurry, and Liu Yuan trotted up to hold my hand, and the moment our skin touched, she quickly let go of her hand. I'm sorry, Liu Yuan, what do you want to do? Dajibo, She hesitated. I lost my patience. She seemed to have thought of something suddenly, and her dull eyes suddenly brightened. I want to paint a French landscape. Can you be my guide? Afraid that I would refuse, she added, you can set the conditions. I replied, I am not short of money. She collapsed and her tone was almost begging. Dajibo, can you give me a chance to compensate? I looked at her coldly. Compensation for what? I already know about Mr. Chuza Fairs. I said calmly, you are selected by him because you have the ability. I also took your money. We don't owe each other anything. Yuan lowered her head and murmured softly, why didn't you tell me at the beginning? I smiled and said, would it be different if I told you? The sadness in her eyes was particularly obvious, and she said stubbornly, maybe we wouldn't have come to this point today. I just felt ironic. Yuan, wake up. We have been together for so many years, and I have done more than one stupid thing for you. At the beginning, your heart was no longer with me, and it was in vain to say or do anything. Besides, I don't care about your momentary touch. Perhaps I have imagined such a scene before, where the unfaithful person suddenly realizes and repents, but when this moment really comes, I don't feel very refreshed. How did the once stunning girl become what she is today? I paused and said seriously, Yuan, stop making excuses for yourself, otherwise I will look down on you. She was stiff all over, with a painful expression on her face. You walk the path you choose. After saying that, I stopped looking at her and walked away without looking back. That night, Lin Feng worked overtime and asked me to buy a midnight snack. It was already dark, and the studio was located in a remote area. 2 street lights on the road were broken, and the whole path was dark and silent. 2 men with knives suddenly jumped out from the side of the road and robbed me of all my belongings ferociously. I didn't have much money with me, and after they searched my bag, they said a few words in French to me viciously. The pronunciation was not standard, and I couldn't understand it very well, so they punched me. I wrestled with them, and in a panic a figure rushed over quickly, using the stone hit the gangster's head. The knife-wielding gangster showed his vicious face, stabbed the other party twice, and fled in a hurry. It all happened so fast that when I reacted, I saw you or Wyatt falling down covered in blood. I sent her to the hospital. The doctor said that she was stabbed in the abdomen, but no vital injuries were caused. However, the tendons of her right hand woke up when she blocked the knife. I am afraid that she will not be able to paint in the future. She was lying on the hospital bed. Her face was a little pale, and the first thing she did when she saw me was to ask if I was injured. I shook my head, and my brows were getting tighter and tighter. She smiled and comforted me. Don't worry, I'm not seriously injured. I struggled for a long time, but still told her the truth. The smile on Wyan's face froze for a moment, and then she suddenly became clear, as if she was deceiving herself. It doesn't matter. I'm glad you're okay. After all, she is not a good actor. She turned her face away, and I saw that her whole body was shaking. I tried to comfort her. The doctor didn't say there is no hope at all, and even if the right hand doesn't work, you can try the left. There will always be a way. She suddenly turned her head and asked with red eyes, Daj, if Ito Makoto and I divorce, we. I interrupted her, Luryn, there will be no more we. You should take good care of your injuries and don't think about anything else. The despair in Luryn's eyes was clearly visible. With tears in her eyes, she begged humbly, at least tonight can you please not leave? I said calmly, the person who can stay with you now is Ito Makoto, not me. But that night, Makoto Ito did not show up. I did not leave after all. When Luryn was having surgery, I called Makoto Ito using her cell phone, but no one answered. Later I sent her a text message, but there was no reply. In the middle of the night, she had a low fever and vomited blood. The doctor checked again and said that she had stomach cancer, but it was not in the late stage. As long as she was treated actively, there was hope of recovery. I don't understand. She has money and status now. Why would she live like this? But I didn't ask anything. The next afternoon, Makoto Ito came, dressed brightly and radiantly. He only pestered the doctor to ask Luryn if her hands could still paint, and didn't even notice my existence. I said goodbye to Luryn. Treat your illness well. I'm leaving. She didn't say anything, lying on the hospital bed with a dead look in her eyes. After Luryn's right hand became disabled and she could no longer paint, the value of all her works rose instead. The news that her work Muse, which made her famous overnight, was publicly auctioned, quickly sparked heated discussions. Not long after Luryn showed her love in the painting, she married the male protagonist in the painting, which was once regarded as a good story by netizens. The painting also became more valuable because of this romantic love story and was finally purchased by a collector for a stage price of 50 million. But within a few days, the incident ushered in an unexpected reversal, and the two entries Makoto Ito sells fake paintings and Luryn cheated on Makoto Ito during marriage were both hot searches. Luryn held a press conference and publicly stated that the original Muse had long been destroyed and the work being sold was forged by Makoto Ito. She admitted in front of the camera that the romantic story behind Muse was actually an ugly extramarital affair and that she abandoned her husband of 10 years when she became successful. Netizens were in an uproar and began to denounce scumbag women and cheap men. Due to the involvement of the amount was huge, so the police intervened to investigate the sale of fake paintings. Soon, Ito Makoto was arrested and faced life imprisonment for suspected production and sale of counterfeit goods. Since then, there has been no news about Luryn. My life is like grass growing on a dam, leaves growing on treetops, free and peaceful, and the years are quiet. The winery's business is booming. Half a year later, I met a strange French guest, a 16-year-old girl who came to buy wine every few days and specifically asked me to brew it myself, and she had a special request. She asked me to teach her Chinese, one sentence at a time. She would carefully record my words with a recorder, sometimes simple greetings such as good morning, good afternoon. On Valentine's Day, she came to buy wine again and asked me to teach her a sentence, I love you. At that time, I had started a new relationship with a girl who took good care of my estate. After I recorded I love you as required by the customer, she suddenly came over and said, I love you too. I touched her head lovingly and turned to apologize to my girlfriend. It's okay to say one more sentence. The girl pursed her lips as if she was conflicted, but in the end she said nothing and left with the win. That night I received a strange call, and the other end said nothing, just a long silence. I thought it was a wrong call, and my girlfriend happened to call me for dinner, so I hung up. After that, the French girl never came to my manor again. YN's name appeared in the public eye again shortly after Valentine's Day. I looked at the entry YN's sudden death on the hot search list and was stunned for a long time. The news said that her body was found in an old farm in France. She was sick and poor when she died. The only relic was a painting called Beloved. The protagonists are a couple in wedding dresses. The bride is wearing a white dress and holding a bunch of kapok flowers. The groom gently embraces her in his arms. Both of their faces are covered by the veil, hazy and unclear. Industry experts all commented that it was the best work of Liu Ruyan's life. Netizens are more concerned about whether the painter is missing his former lover or meeting a new confidant. I looked at the bouquet in the bride's hand, and my memory drifted back to the past. The year I married Liu Ruyan, the kapok flowers bloomed particularly early. I picked some back and tied them into a bunch with ribbons. She asked me why it was not a rose, and I smiled mysteriously because I like the flower language of kapok flowers. What flower language cherished the person in front of you? The wind passed through the gaps of time and came up with moist mist. After all, I didn't tell anyone that Liu Ruyan, who was stabbed by a gangster on the streets of France that day, wrote the last words on my palm with her bloody fingers. I'm sorry, I love you. What I never had the chance to say is that I once loved you so passionately.